Hello, my name is Austin Habish, the founder of Think Catholic, and you're listening to the Summa podcast, where we study St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologiae in a way simple and insightful for anyone to understand. The Summa podcast is brought to you by Think Catholic. Taking 2 questions of the Summa a day, we'll seek to summarize St. Thomas's responses, discovering the brilliance of Aquinas and his Catholic faith is day 164. So let's get started. We're covering today questions 92 and 93 of the Secundae, that is, vices opposed to religion, beginning with superstition, i.e., by way of excess, and of superstition consisting in undue worship of the true God. The translation that I always use in these podcasts is the one generously provided to me by Ave Maria Press, the 5-volume set translated by the Fathers of the English Dominican province, which you can now get at a discounted price from Ave Maria Press's site by typing in the code Summa 10. And so here we go. Article 1, whether superstition is a vice contrary to religion. Within the article, superstition is defined as immoderate observance of religion. And then more specifically, St. Thomas will say, superstition is a vice contrary to religion by excess. Not that it offers more to the divine worship than true religion, but because it offers divine worship either to whom it ought not or in a manner it ought not, like not walking under a ladder because you think that ladder somehow determines God's providence. This would be an example of undue means, excess in manner, or offering sacrifice to the saints or to the president of your country. This is due only to God. Here it is excess of the end, or to whom worship is to be offered to. These are examples of superstition. Article 2, whether there are various species of superstition. Are there different types of superstition, species of superstition within the larger genus or category of superstition, like within the category of animal, we have dogs, cats, and us. There are 3 different types of excess when it comes to the virtue of religion. 1, worshiping false gods, that's idolatry. 2, taking what is to be believed about the supernatural from sources opposed to God. This is the sin of divinization, learning from the demons. 3rd, there is this excess in actions directed towards the true God and his revelation, like our example of being afraid to walk under ladders or step on cracks on the sidewalk. These are categorized under the type of superstition called observances. Capturing all 3 types of superstition, Augustine wrote, anything invented by man for making and worshiping idols is superstitious, or any agreement or covenant made with the demons for the purpose of consultation and of compact by tokens. And a little further on he adds, to this kind belongs all sorts of amulets and such like, and this refers to the 3rd species, the superstition of observances. In summary, the 3 types of superstition are idolatry, divinization, observances. Moving on then to question 93 on superstition consisting in undue worship of the true God. Article 1, whether there can be anything pernicious in the worship of the true God. Can any action be damning in religious practice, even if it was done with the intention of worshiping the one true God? And if, for example, one seeks to have their child circumcised out of worship for God, believing that this is salvific for the child, this action would be pernicious or mortally sinful if the person doing it is culpable for such an error, because this action today, post Christ's advent and proclamation of the gospel, would manifest exteriorly an untruth, namely that the Messiah has not yet come, nor instituted a new and living covenant in his blood, which men are not grafted into by circumcision, but by baptism. As St. Jerome taught, after the gospel truth had been preached, the legal observances became deadly. So to continue the ceremonial practices of the old law, and thereby indicating exteriorly with one's actions that the Christ has not yet come, that Jesus Christ is not the Messiah who came 2,000 years ago, this act would be pernicious because it is a sin against the faith. It is an act of unbelief. It would also be pernicious for a minister of the new covenant, so a Catholic bishop or priest, to worship God, the true God, but contrary to the manner established by Christ through his church, like diverging from the rubrics or the rules regarding the Mass, this would also constitute superstition or excess in the due means to be observed by the virtue of religion. Article 2 in our last article, whether there can be any excess in the worship of God. There cannot be excess of worship in the sense of a man loving God too much or thinking of him too much, thinking too much of him, but there can be what Aquinas calls here an excess of proportion, meaning there can be worship out of proportion or not proportioned, directed, in harmony with our end. For example, again, worshiping false gods, contacting demons, wearing 3 socks to ensure luck wins the basketball game. But giving the last words of our episode to Aquinas, if that which is done be in itself not conducive to God's glory, nor raise man's mind to God, nor curb inordinate concupiscence, or again, if it be not in accordance with the commandments of God and of the church, or if it be contrary to the general custom, which according to Augustine has the force of law, all this must be reckoned excessive and superstitious. And with that, we close another episode. We have just finished covering questions 92 and 93 of the Secundae, that is, vices opposed to religion, beginning with superstition by way of excess and of superstition consisting in undue worship of the true God. My name is Austin Habish with Think Catholic, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.